You all look hot and tired, worn out. I have to share with you, we've had the privilege to host Margaret in our home for the last 3 days. The other night we were talking about desserts, and she told us about how amazed she was to see here in the United States young children with ice cream cones with the ice cream the size of a grapefruit. She said in the UK it's the size of a golf ball. So she said, this is the land of the large portion. And I'm going to give you a large portion in a very brief time. Believe it or not, this is the 5th symposium on temple themes held in various venues around the world this year. And 2 are already scheduled for next year. With the growing interest in temples, it is my pleasure this afternoon to announce the publication of a new online tool that it is hoped will facilitate temple studies research. Soon, a bibliography on temples containing approximately 7,000 items, that's over 500 pages of typescript, will be placed on the website for the Academy of Temple Studies located at the following URL, www.templestudies.org. Temple Studies is all one word. The purpose of this brief presentation is to give you some background and a description of this project. About 6 years ago, I began an extensive study of the temple, and one of the first things I did was begin compiling a bibliography of available information. With the help of the internet, the bibliography grew rapidly, and well into the process, I discovered that Jack Welch and 2 BYU colleagues, Don Perry and Stephen Ricks, published a temple bibliography in 1991. At that time, it contained about 2,700 entries. Jack graciously sent me electronic versions of the book, and we discussed the possibility of putting a combined new version online. And last fall, I formatted and proofread the collection as it then existed and sent it to him. At present, the bibliography is limited to the following areas of temple studies. 1, Near Eastern and Mediterranean temples in general. That includes pre-Israelite temples in the Near East and Greek, Roman, and Egyptian temples. 2, Israelite temples in the Old and New Testament periods, and 3, Mormon temples. The bibliography includes books, articles, chapters in books, pamphlets, talks, and entries in various types of reference works. The matter of including book reviews in the bibliography is yet to be decided. Most items are in English, but there are also entries in Hebrew, German, French, and Spanish. The process of selecting sources for this bibliography has evolved with experience. However, throughout the work, I have tried to be more inclusive than exclusive. Many factors are involved in finding suitable references. I quickly learned in titles many words may signal that something may be temple related, such as cult, cultus, sanctuary, sacred space, ritual, and liturgy, and many others. Doctrinal and theological matters possibly related to the temple are also looked at carefully, such as publications dealing with sacrifice, the presence of God, heavenly ascents, ablutions, anointing, festivals, purification laws, priesthood, Levites, and high priests, among others. In the Bible, the priesthood was almost exclusively related to the temple, so materials dealing with the priesthood during Bible times are carefully considered. The names of personalities closely associated with the temple and temple themes are also important keys to potentially relevant materials, as are temple-related place names in the titles of works on history, archaeology, and architecture. Titles with references to scriptures or to passages in apocryphal or pseudepigraphical Literature generally have to be looked up to confirm that the source is related to the temple. Sometimes a word in Hebrew or Greek, and I don't know either one, in a title is related to the temple in some way. Determining the suitability of all of these materials is often labor-intensive and time-consuming. The entries are formatted according to the 16th edition of the Chicago Manual of Style for bibliographies. Where Chicago gives some latitude or options, those used in the bibliography are explained in the introductory material. The online version will be a preliminary listing. Jack and Don Perry are trying to solicit or elicit some help from students to proofread the entire thing once again and verify some things, maybe all things. Anyway, the online version will be a preliminary listing, and the software used to access it is also an initial stage of development. If possible, we would like the online version to be interactive in several ways. We encourage people who know about references that are not in the bibliography to share them with us, and when verified, they will be put in proper format and included in the collection. We would like to have a drop-down menu for each entry that will take you to abstracts, reviews, and perhaps even personal summaries or notes that may be contributed. Links to online versions and reviews are difficult to maintain, given the ephemeral nature of the internet, and so that issue has yet to be decided. In addition to normal word searches, we have included a list of keywords associated with each entry to facilitate a variety of topical searches. We also hope to build in a capacity to create and save printed subtopic bibliographies based on one or more searches. As you use the bibliography, you may find an item that is really not about the temple. That is because many references are included on the basis of an apparent relevance based on my best judgment at the time without reading them all. That's my goal, but I'm 70 years old. I don't know if I'll make it. When they are brought to our attention, they will be reviewed and eliminated when warranted. There is much left to do. As large as the bibliography is, there is much left to do. New sources of references continually surface. For example, in May 2012, I learned that the word sanctuary, quote, that is the temple or tabernacle, and the atonement are at the very heart of Seventh-day Adventist theology, and that they are producing a growing literature about both subjects. Here's a collection of essays by Seventh-day Adventists on the temple and the atonement. Another example relates to doctoral dissertations. Some months ago, I went into the ProQuest website for the University of Michigan Dissertation Project and was pleased to learn that they are digitizing many of the dissertations that they have collected over the decades. A search on the word temple brought forth 39,000 hits. I've got more to say about that, but let me just say that you have in your packet a bibliography of those dissertations, and that's only a small segment. Anyway, I culled out of the first 1,000 of those 39,000 hits about 160 dissertations and a few theses relevant to the bibliography, complete with abstracts for most of them. A month ago, I did an additional search which illustrates the growth of this single source. The word temple now produces 44,477 hits, and the phrase the temple yielded 71,095 hits. I found 9,125 hits on the Jerusalem temple, 2,400 on Mormon temple, 22,181 on Greek temples, 22,609 on Roman temples, and 9,212 on Egyptian temples. The bibliography now includes 260 dissertations and a few theses in addition to the 43,000 hits left unchecked, each dissertation has an extensive bibliography which, when searched, always produces new references for the project. However, I have searched the bibliographies of less than 24 of those dissertations. Also, much work needs to be done in non-English sources. As recent as Thursday of last week, I learned through the internet, of a collection of Bible-related bibliographies prepared by the Pontifical Biblical Institute in Rome. The bibliography was initially an annual part of the journal Biblica from 1920 until 1968, when it was then published as a separate yearly volume, and since 1985, it has been titled Elencus of Biblicus. According to one user, this collection is, quote, a broad, comprehensive, international, ecumenical, annual listing of books, dissertations, reviews, and articles on the Hebrew Bible, New Testament, intertestamental Judaism, the early patristic period, biblical theology, archaeology, and other related topics, unquote. This will undoubtedly prove to be a valuable source, especially for foreign publications. I just did a search on the volume for 2003 and had 73 hits. One resource that is not represented in our bibliography, and which we are still discussing, includes a large number of items published on the internet, only on the internet. The quality of this material ranges from research found in blogs, newsletters, and collections of papers to online books and peer-reviewed journals. I maintain a list of these resources, but they are not yet included in the general bibliography. The internet is a vast and ever-growing and expanding resource. In May, I Googled the phrase Jerusalem Temple, which produced 4,060,000 hits. If a person could search the internet every day for a 70-year life of 25,550 days, he would have to look at 159 items a day to review all 4,060,000. And one can only speculate about how many new items would come online during that lifespan. So this is a project that's never going to end. Well, I trust that this brief review has given you a sense of the potential of this tool and of its strengths and weaknesses. And I hope it has given you an idea of how much is yet to be done. If you have suggestions or would like to help with the project, please contact me, and my email is danbachman, all one word, @comcast.net. Thank you.